everybody. Well, welcome to the first of hopefully many that are coming along. We're going to be doing kind of a video podcast for you. You'll be able to listen to this by audio, watch it by video. It really doesn't make a difference either way you want to go. But for this group, we really just knew that we can kind of take this next level. Our goal is to kind of help people see a bigger vision, keep increasing our own personal education, learn about each other, find out some new information, whatever that may be. But the name of this podcast is going to be Generous Life on the Frontline. Well, what does that stand for? Well, we already know what generous and life mean, but the life in this case is labor, influence, finances, and expertise. You know, we help a lot of people with that, and that's why we talk about being on the front line. Each one of us is on the front line. As a coordinator or as a coach, we're frontlining with people. We're helping them see that vision for the very first time. And so it just kind of helps, it just kind of flowed together to say, this is what we do. Well, with that, we're kind of unique because this group has really turned out to be its own little thing that's just kind of developed and grown, but it all had to start somewhere. So today, for the very first person that we're going to have on here is going to be kind of what I call the founder, the creator, the lead admin of our group, and that is Keith Bunn. Glad to have you on.
Yeah.
Look forward to this conversation. I think a lot of people, they really don't know anything about any of us other than we just kind of see each other post stuff up. Hey, give us some background on you, Keith. Talk about your family, where you live. Give us a little insight about you.
I'm married for the second time.
Okay.
We got married 15 years ago this month. My wife has a son from a previous marriage. I have two children from a previous marriage. Her son lives here in Michigan. By the way, I'm in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Okay.
And he works and lives here in Grand Rapids. My two kids, they're down south. We're empty nesters.
Keith, where do you sit on the baby steps?
We are still on baby step 2.
Okay.
We started in 2007. And that little saying that Dave says, he sees the two people the heels being dragged in. That was me.
Okay.
Julie dragged me in. I didn't want nothing to do with it, but I knew we had issues. Julie was the one that normally took care of all the bills and stuff, and I was like that bad husband that just handed the paycheck over, and as long as I was fed and had a roof over my head, and I was a happy guy.
Gotcha.
And I only knew that there was a problem when there was a big problem, and Julie was fretting over everything, and that's when I always got involved. She heard of Dave Ramsey, like on a radio show. She was carpooling with one of her coworkers. She noticed that there was a class in town, not here, but when we used to live up north. She says, I think we should go to it. And I'm like, oh, okay, I guess, we'll go check out the preview. And I'm telling you, from that preview, I was absolutely hooked. Our coordinator, she always played the previous class the following week before the class started. So if you missed a class, you could go back and make up for that one class you missed. And I said, we're going to that class every week. We're going to go to the previous one so we can watch it again. And then we're just going to stay for the next class and so forth.
Wow.
And we did that for that 13 weeks.
When did you become a coordinator? How soon?
2009.
2009.
Yep,
at your existing church, or where were you doing it?
We had just started going to a church.
Okay.
I was not a church goer at the time. And that was like one of the things that really got me not wanting to go to the FPU. The one thing that Dave said, church related, a Bible verse that got me, and it stuck with me from that point on, was the Proverbs 22:7, the borrower is slave to the lender. And in my head, I'm like, well, that was absolutely true.
Yes.
And if that's true, what else am I missing that the Bible has said? Because that was the only verse that I knew. From that point on, we started going to a church. They had a FPU class starting. I was already listening at the time. I was already listening to the CDs in the car back and forth to work. And Dave came out with the newer material. So we thought, well, we're going to go see if the newer material has anything really new. And so we went to that class for the second time. That coordinator, she didn't want to do it anymore. She really didn't like coordinating. They asked if we wanted to do it because we had gone through the class twice. And I said, absolutely. So we coordinated, I can't tell you how many classes, about 4 or 5 classes there. We ended up moving down to Grand Rapids. We started looking for a church down here. and we found a church, and we started coordinating at that church. I want to say that was, I don't know, 2011 maybe. And we even set up a class at my wife's work.
How many classes have you coordinated in your time?
I think it's about a dozen.
About a dozen. That's awesome. Let's jump it forward from there. How did you decide that Facebook was a place to go launch a group? What were you looking for when you decided, I need to launch this page for coordinators? What was going on?
A friend of ours, she came up to go to a Dave Ramsey event. She was a volunteer. I was volunteering also at the same event. You know, sometimes when Dave is there for a long time, you know, multiple events, the volunteers will have like a little lunch or breakfast or dinner or something. That's when you get together with all the other volunteers and you can really have a conversation of where they're at and all this stuff. She came up to me and she says, I can't believe all these people that are volunteering and say they're Dave fans and they're still like using credit cards and they're doing this and they're doing that, not Dave. That put the little thought process in my head. We need to do something. I think it was later on that day when I was done volunteering, I sat down at the computer and I thought up the name. I posted the page and I clicked on just a few people that I knew that would like to be in that group. I invited them that way. It took off from there.
Now, I think it was 2014 when you launched this. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
It's amazing. I mean, we're sitting here at close to 2,000 group members now who are part of this. It really has kind of found its niche and found its place. It was early on just about coordinators, let's come and talk and share ideas, or kind of what was going on originally in the group? What do you remember from then?
I knew that one friend of ours, she had huge classes. Of course, her church was bigger, but not everybody was from the church that was coming to the class. And I was like, how in the world are you getting so many people into your class? I mean, I'm having 6 or 7 couples, but she was having 30 to 40 people come to her class. I mean, it was a huge, huge class. There's got to be something these other coordinators are doing that I'm not doing that I could try to go out and do and bring in more people. That's my whole thought process of the whole thing. You know, I need to learn more myself how other coordinators are doing their classes. I don't know the exact Bible verse, but where steel sharpens steel.
Yep.
So that was my whole thought process there. I'm gonna learn from other people, and if I know something they don't know, I'm gonna share what I know.
We know that we've had a couple folks. I think when we launched, when some of the California folks started coming on board, one of the gentlemen, I can't remember his name now, has done something similar to what I've done in my local market, and that was kind of got on the DR page for his local market and started to engage the local side. Because there are just opportunities that were out there that from just a networking standpoint, maybe you know about something, or here's a kid I've got extra here, or, you know, whatever it may be. We're hosting a legacy journey. Not everyone does. But let's promote that together. Or let's just get together and talk and have coffee because we're already like-minded thinkers. There's nothing like getting face-to-face with somebody.
Right.
And I know that so I literally have 125, my little Northwest Arkansas hub where I live, there's 125 coordinators who have coordinated before. Those may be husband-wife teams. There's a ton of churches that have done this. Some stick, some don't stick. And the thing about being on the front line for me, Keith, when I think about it is how do we keep growing and developing? How do we get better at what we're doing? How do we become more impactful when we're in front of our group? Because, you know, it is okay to put a DVD in. It's okay to play it online and have people watch it. It is about engaging that small group discussion. It's about those extra elements that really get those people connected into the session. It's just not popping a DVD and life is all good.
Right.
It takes more than that.
I always tell my story of, you know, this thing that Dave just talked about. It reminded me of what happened in my life during this time. And I tell that story. And I know a lot of the coordinators, they tell their story. Whether it's they're still in baby step 2 or they're, you know, all the way done baby step 7, and, you know, they're giving like crazy and building wealth and preparing for their future and so forth. It absolutely.
Hey, are you a nerd or a free spirit?
Probably at the very beginning, I was a free spirit, but I've kind of moved into nerddom.
Have you?
A little bit.
I think there could be some change in that. I think that's part of maturity in what we're doing and how we're growing and all that type of thing. Any class highlights for you? If you sit back and think about your class, you got 1 or 2 things that really stand out in your memory?
I was telling my story about how I was the husband that just handed the paycheck over. And one of the women husband and wife came to the class, and one of the women, she just started crying because that's exactly what her husband was doing. I realized that I wasn't the only one doing that. And by me sharing that, and maybe it even clicked in his head, ooh, I'm not being the best husband I could possibly be. They ended up staying for, all 13 weeks, and it helped them out a lot.
Did your churches do anything beyond FPU? Or did they kind of stay with FPU and that was kind of what they did? Or did they try any other products or programs that are out there?
The churches, unfortunately, that I've been involved with, they liked FPU. They liked that the church was having the classes, but they really didn't get involved that much with it. They were happy that people were coming in being helped, but other than that, they didn't want nothing to do with that.
Gotcha.
So it's unfortunate. I would try to explain, we're going straight from what the Bible says. Some of them got it. Yeah, that's a good idea. I like what they're saying, but I'm still going to go over here and, rack up debt for the church. And personally, I'm going to go out and, buy this thing on my credit card or whatever. And I'm like, what, you're one of the leadership of the church. You got to pretty much practice what you preach. Right. It was frustrating.
Yep. Well, you know what? In church leadership, I'm fortunate. I happen to sit on our generosity team. It's a volunteer team for the most part. It has taken time. I'm part of a church that we never have to worry about meeting our end budget. We're usually over our budget. We were over considerably this year. We're now getting in, trying to learn again as a leadership, and sometimes they even position FPU as if you're sinking and going under, or you're just kind of getting started. They really don't think it's for anybody else. And so I've had to help them kind of change that mindset. They don't mind offering the class. They don't mind that at all. They know it's helping people because we keep taking back the life change stories that are going on. I'm just trying to get them out of that. No, you don't realize there's people who make a considerable amount of money that they're not handling it well.
Right.
Some of them are handling it well, but they could be doing it a whole lot better. They also don't know what they don't know. So that's all kind of a part of it.
I want to connect with everybody, whether they have a good income coming in or they have barely anything coming in and out and they're on assistance. I want to help everybody.
Yep. Well, I can't wait to interview. I know we got an interview coming up that I'm going to set up with one of these folks that actually has done this at a homeless shelter. I just saw in our group the other day. I can't wait to hear her story about how this got connected, engaged, but the excitement and energy where, again, folks, there are some people that are so hungry for education.
Right.
But no one's ever tried to help them before, and they didn't know how to help themselves. And they're looking for someone to come along. Let's do this. Let's close things up. So we're hitting 2,000 in our group. I mean, that's an exciting thing. What do you kind of hope for with our group as we keep growing with these coordinators and coaches?
I just hope that it continues to grow. I mean, every day I get a notification that so-and-so is asking to join. This has been more than I ever thought it would grow to. And people are, I mean, every day I scroll through there and it's like, holy cow, that was a good question. Let's say a newbie that's going to do their first class, in this week or whatever, or you got somebody that's had dozens of classes and they still ask a question because something came up in their class and they like, oh, I never came across that before.
Watching this group train each other up is what I love. Doing it with a heart to understand. Again, I think we have it in one of our posts where it says, always remember, some people are brand new, haven't even taken FPU yet, and they're going to lead a class.
Right.
Some have taken it one time and they're going to lead a class. They're just getting started. Then we got people over here, which like Steve, who's led 40 classes.
Right. That was crazy.
With incredible experience that's out there. And you're just going, wow, there's so much knowledge to be shared. Always remember there are people starting out as babies as coordinators. Man, they're brand new on the front line.
Right.
They're ready to go serve. They have a heart to go serve, and they want to learn too. So they're going to ask questions. You're going to think, man, what do you mean? Well, no, that's a brand new person. They don't know what they're supposed to know. And that's what we got to do. We just got to keep loving them and helping them.
If I can encourage the new people that are coming into the group and maybe done or getting ready to do their first class. If they're asking a question, start right out and say, hey, this is going to be my first class, so that everybody knows, oh, this is a new person. They haven't done, the ones that have done classes over and over again, they're like, well, why is this person even asking this question? They should know. But they don't know because they're new. That way the older people can say, okay, I don't have to be, gung-ho Dave. Gives us a level where we know, okay, we got to treat them more gently and answer the question and get them through this little problem that they may be having.
As you go along and you gain more knowledge and more skill, and you've listened to 5 years of podcasts and you've gone through it all and your knowledge has increased, that will all come around and that will all improve. And the more events you go to or whatever that may be, the more you put in your head, you'll become more knowledgeable. We just kind of need to be prepared for that. So anyway, hey, Keith, thank you for being on the very first video cast we've got going for our group. It is going to be fun. I look forward to having more folks on here that we get to know and learn from them and just kind of keep sharing. Hey,
and I want to thank you for all your hard work that you've done. I mean, it's been amazing since you came in as an administrator. It's grown and made more.
Well, it's all about the team. It has been a teamwork effort since the beginning. You know, all of us brings a certain skill set to the table. We all just bring them. We all use them. You know what, guys? That just reminds me. We call ourselves Generous Life on the front line. Labor, influence, finances, and expertise. Each one of you is making an impact every day. We can't wait to hear your story, share it, and get a good feel for kind of what drives you. Some of your stories you've had come along that really impact other people within this class. It's just, you know, it's beyond 40 characters. It's beyond a social media post. We want to make this just a little bit different. So thanks again. We look forward. We'll see you the next time. Take care, everybody.